Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our English Learning podcast. I'm Jennifer, and as always, I'm joined by my thoughtful co-host, Elizabeth. How are you today, Elizabeth?
Hi, Jennifer. I'm doing well, thanks for asking. Today's topic is one that has sparked debate for decades. Is cloning ethically acceptable? With advancements in genetic technology, the possibility of cloning, whether it's animals, humans, or even organs, has raised a lot of questions about ethics, morality, and science. Some see cloning as a groundbreaking tool for medical research and treatment, while others worry about the potential dangers and moral implications. Today, we're going to explore both sides of the debate and dive into the ethical concerns surrounding cloning.
That's right, Elizabeth. Cloning is a highly complex and controversial topic, especially when it comes to human cloning. While cloning animals has been done for decades, most famously with Dolly the sheep in 1996, the idea of cloning humans or using cloning technology for therapeutic purposes has been met with much more resistance. There are concerns about identity, individuality, and the potential for abuse of this technology. But at the same time, cloning holds the promise of advancing medical research and organ regeneration, which could save countless lives. It's a fascinating and multi-layered issue, and today we'll break it all down.
Exactly. And for our listeners out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Do you think cloning is ethically acceptable, or do you have concerns about how it could be used? Share your opinions with us, and we might even feature them in a future episode. So, Jennifer, let's start by explaining what cloning is and the different types of cloning. What are the basic scientific concepts behind cloning, and how is it done?
Well, Elizabeth, cloning is the process of creating a genetically identical copy of an organism or cell. There are two main types of cloning: reproductive cloning and therapeutic cloning. Reproductive cloning involves creating an organism that is genetically identical to another, while therapeutic cloning involves cloning cells or tissues to treat diseases or regenerate damaged organs. Both techniques rely on the same basic principle: transferring the nucleus of a cell from one organism into an egg cell that has had its own nucleus removed. The resulting organism or cells share the same genetic makeup as the original.
That's such a great explanation, Jennifer. So, when people talk about cloning, they're often thinking about reproductive cloning, which is the process used to create a full, living organism that's genetically identical to another. But therapeutic cloning is different. It's more focused on medical applications like creating stem cells or tissues that can be used to treat diseases. For example, if someone needs an organ transplant, therapeutic cloning could be used to create a new organ that's a perfect genetic match for the patient. This could potentially eliminate the risk of organ rejection.
Exactly, Elizabeth. Therapeutic cloning is seen by many as one of the most promising applications of cloning technology because it could help with regenerative medicine, treating conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and even spinal cord injuries. But despite its potential, it also raises ethical concerns, particularly because the process involves creating and then destroying embryos to harvest stem cells. For some, this crosses a moral line, even though it could have significant medical benefits.
Absolutely, Jennifer. The idea of creating embryos specifically for research or therapeutic purposes is one of the main ethical concerns surrounding cloning. It raises questions about the moral status of embryos and whether it's acceptable to use them in this way, even if it's for a good cause like advancing medical science. So, with that in mind, let's dive into the main ethical arguments against cloning. What are the biggest concerns that people have about the ethical implications of cloning, particularly human cloning?
Well, Elizabeth, one of the main arguments against cloning, especially reproductive cloning, is that it raises concerns about identity and individuality. When we clone an organism, we're essentially creating a genetic copy, and this leads to ethical questions about the uniqueness of each individual. Some people worry that cloning could reduce the value of individuality, making cloned humans or animals feel like they're simply copies rather than unique beings with their own identity.
That's such an important point, Jennifer. The idea of individuality is central to the human experience. We take pride in the fact that each person is unique, with their own genetic makeup, personality, and life experiences. Reproductive cloning by creating genetic duplicates could blur the lines between individuals, raising questions about the rights and personhood of clones. Would they have the same rights as non-cloned individuals? And how would society view them? Are they truly individuals or just replicas of someone else?
Exactly, Elizabeth. Another ethical concern is the potential for abuse of cloning technology. Some worry that cloning could be used for unethical purposes, such as creating humans for exploitation, organ harvesting, or even military applications. The idea of cloning opens up the possibility of creating humans for specific purposes, which raises serious moral and legal concerns. If cloning becomes widespread, how do we ensure that it's not misused in ways that violate human rights?
Absolutely, Jennifer. The idea of cloning for commercial or exploitative purposes is deeply troubling. If we start cloning humans or animals for specific functions, whether it's for labor, medical research, or other purposes, it could lead to a dehumanization of the clones. They might be treated as products or tools rather than as individuals with rights and dignity. This is why some people argue that cloning, particularly reproductive cloning, should be banned altogether to prevent the potential for such abuses.
That's such a great point, Elizabeth. And beyond the ethical concerns about identity and exploitation, there's also the issue of medical risks. Cloning technology is still in its early stages, and there are significant risks involved, particularly with reproductive cloning. For example, Dolly the sheep, the first cloned mammal, suffered from various health problems and died prematurely. Many cloned animals experience birth defects, premature aging, and other health complications. If we were to apply reproductive cloning to humans, these risks would raise serious concerns about the safety and well-being of the clones.
Yes, Jennifer. Potential for harm to the clones themselves is another major ethical concern. Cloning technology isn't perfected. We could be creating human beings who suffer from health problems or who have shorter lifespans. Is it ethical to bring a human into the world knowing that they might face serious medical challenges due to the cloning process? This is a question that opponents of cloning often raise.
Absolutely, Elizabeth. And another ethical argument against cloning is the fear that it could lead to social inequality. If cloning technology becomes available, it could be expensive and only accessible to the wealthy. This could create a situation where only certain people can afford to clone themselves or their loved ones, leading to greater inequality in society. Some people worry that cloning could become a tool for the rich to extend their lives or create designer offspring, while those without financial resources are left out.
That's such an important point, Jennifer. The idea of designer babies, where people could use cloning or genetic engineering to create offspring with specific traits, raises serious ethical concerns. Cloning technology allows people to choose characteristics like intelligence, physical appearance, or even talents. It could lead to a society where some individuals are considered superior to others based on the traits they were designed to have. This could reinforce existing social inequalities and lead to new forms of discrimination.
Exactly, Elizabeth. So, from the perspective of those who oppose cloning, the key ethical concerns are the issues of identity and individuality, the potential for abuse, medical risks, and the possibility of increasing social inequality. But of course, not everyone is against cloning. Let's now talk about the arguments in favor of cloning, particularly therapeutic cloning. What are some of the potential benefits? And why do some people believe that cloning is ethically acceptable?
Well, Jennifer, one of the main arguments in favor of cloning, particularly therapeutic cloning, is the potential for medical advancements. Cloning technology could allow us to create stem cells or organs that are a perfect genetic match for patients, reducing the risk of organ rejection and saving lives. For example, if someone needs a liver transplant, therapeutic cloning could be used to create a new liver from their own cells, eliminating the need for a donor and reducing the chances of complications. This could revolutionize medicine and help treat a wide range of diseases and conditions.
That's such an important point, Elizabeth. Therapeutic cloning holds incredible promise for regenerative medicine. By creating genetically identical tissues or organs, we could potentially treat conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and neurological disorders. The ability to regenerate damaged tissues using a patient's own cells could also reduce the need for immunosuppressive drugs, which are often required after organ transplants. In this sense, Therapeutic cloning could lead to more effective and personalized medical treatments.
Exactly, Jennifer. And beyond the medical benefits, some people argue that reproductive cloning could offer solutions for certain individuals or families. For example, couples who are unable to conceive naturally might turn to reproductive cloning as an option for having biological children. While this raises ethical questions, proponents argue that cloning could provide hope to families facing infertility or genetic diseases. In this view, cloning could be seen as an extension of reproductive rights and a way to give people more control over their family planning.
Absolutely, Elizabeth. For some families, cloning could provide an alternative to traditional fertility treatments or surrogacy, offering them the chance to have a child that's genetically related to them. While this raises complex ethical questions, it's an argument that proponents of cloning believe should be considered. They argue that, like other forms of reproductive technology, cloning could help people overcome biological challenges and build the families they've always wanted.
Yes, Jennifer. And another argument in favor of cloning is that it could help advance scientific research. By studying cloned organisms, researchers could gain a deeper understanding of genetics, development, and disease. Cloning could be used to create genetically identical animals for research, allowing scientists to study the effects of diseases or treatments in a controlled environment. This could lead to new breakthroughs in understanding how certain conditions develop and how they can be treated.
That's such a great point, Elizabeth. Cloning offers a unique opportunity for scientific discovery. For example, researchers could use cloned animals to study genetic mutations or hereditary diseases, which could help us better understand how these conditions are passed down through generations. This type of research could lead to new treatments or even cures for diseases that have been difficult to study using traditional methods. In this sense, cloning could contribute to the advancement of knowledge in ways that benefit society as a whole.
Absolutely, Jennifer. And beyond the potential for medical and scientific advancements, some people argue that the ethical concerns surrounding cloning can be addressed through regulation and oversight. They believe that with the right safeguards in place, cloning technology can be used responsibly and ethically. For example, strict regulations could be put in place to prevent cloning for exploitative purposes or to ensure that cloned organisms are treated with dignity and respect. In this view, it's possible to use cloning technology in a way that minimizes the risks and maximizes the benefits.
Exactly, Elizabeth. By implementing ethical guidelines and legal frameworks, we could ensure that cloning technology is used responsibly and doesn't lead to the kinds of abuses that critics fear. This approach allows us to explore the potential benefits of cloning while still addressing the ethical concerns. Proponents argue that with careful regulation, cloning could be a valuable tool for advancing science and medicine without compromising our moral values.
So, from the perspective of those who support cloning, the key arguments are that it could lead to medical advancements, help individuals and families facing infertility, advance scientific research, and be used ethically with the right safeguards. As we can see, there are strong arguments on both sides of this debate.
Absolutely, Elizabeth. And speaking of different perspectives, I think it's a great time to hear from one of our listeners. Let's take a call from someone who might have an interesting perspective on whether cloning is ethically acceptable. Hi there, you're on the air with Jennifer and Elizabeth. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Elizabeth. My name is Michael, and I'm calling from Boston, Massachusetts. I've been listening to your podcast for a while now, and I love today's topic. I wanted to share my thoughts because I'm a medical student, and I think cloning has the potential to revolutionize medicine.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for calling in. We'd love to hear more about your perspective. Do you believe cloning is ethically acceptable, especially when it comes to therapeutic cloning?
Absolutely. I think therapeutic cloning, in particular, has the potential to save lives and treat diseases that we currently don't have cures for. The idea of being able to regenerate damaged tissues or create organs that are a perfect match for patients is incredibly exciting. I understand the ethical concerns, but I think with the right regulations, we can ensure that cloning is used responsibly. The potential benefits are too great to ignore.
That's such a valuable perspective, Michael. It sounds like you see the medical potential of cloning as outweighing the ethical concerns. Do you think there are specific safeguards that could be put in place to address these concerns?
Definitely. I think it's important to have strict guidelines around how cloning technology is used. For example, we could ban reproductive cloning while allowing therapeutic cloning for medical purposes. We could also require ethical review boards to oversee any cloning research, ensuring that it's done responsibly and with respect for human dignity. With the right oversight, I think cloning could be a game changer in medicine.
That's such great insight, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thanks for having me. I love listening to your podcast, and I'm excited to hear more episodes.
Thanks so much for calling in, Michael. Take care.
Bye, Michael.
That was a great call from Michael. He really highlighted the potential for cloning to revolutionize medicine, while also acknowledging the need for ethical oversight.
Absolutely, Jennifer. And for those of you listening, if you're enjoying our podcast, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support really helps us keep creating these episodes and sharing more interesting topics with you.
So, where does that leave us in our discussion today? I think it's clear that cloning is a complex and controversial issue with strong arguments on both sides. On one hand, cloning holds the potential for incredible medical advancements and scientific discoveries. On the other hand, it raises serious ethical concerns about identity, exploitation, and the risks involved in the cloning process.
Exactly, Jennifer. Key takeaway is that cloning technology has both promise and peril. While the potential benefits are enormous, it's essential that we approach this technology with caution, ensuring that it's used ethically and responsibly. This is a debate that will likely continue as the science of cloning evolves, and it's important for society to consider the ethical implications as we move forward.
We hope today's discussion has given you some new insights into the question of whether cloning is ethically acceptable. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for listening. We're always here to share new insights and help you learn English while exploring important topics like this one. Keep listening, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye for now, everyone. And remember, science and ethics go hand in hand. Advancing technology responsibly is the key to a brighter future.